Like any new presidential administration, there have been some highs and some lows. Obviously, with this administration, a lot of talk has been given to decreasing regulations, which has been a very positive thing for us. Something we've talked about for over 8 years, trying to not only limit the new regulations coming out of Washington, but going piece by piece, going to try to repeal a lot of the regulations that we've opposed, WOTUS, greenhouse gas regulations, things like that. So obviously some good news there on the regulatory front. You move through, I think, another list of things that I think hopefully will be addressed in the next 100 days, or at least the conversations will begin, is talking about health care reform, trying to fix Obamacare, repeal, replace, whatever that means. The number one thing we're focused on there is going to be on trying to control costs for our farmer and rancher members. The individual marketplace, a place where the vast majority of farmers and ranchers, small business owners get their health insurance, has seen the most cost increases. And so for us, trying to control costs is going to be number one. Move down the list into tax code reform, repeal the estate tax, a big deal for us, but trying to make sure that a number of pieces of the tax code that are important to farmers and ranchers, that allow them to reinvest money back into their businesses, making sure those pieces remain intact, are going to be key for us. It's always great to talk about a fairer, flatter tax, whatever thing you want to throw out there, but there's a lot of pieces of the tax code that allow businesses to put that money back into their business, allow them to grow and expand. So that's going to be important for us, that we keep some of those things in mind, while at the same time trying to reduce and lower and flatten taxes as well. Trade is another item on that list where we've had maybe some disagreements with the president on pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a problematic thing for us. We were expecting the Trans-Pacific Partnership to provide over $378 million per year in new ag trade for the state of Nebraska. So the president has indicated that bilateral free trade agreements are the direction he wants to go. That's fine, but we need to make sure that we're continuing to move these through. The Trans-Pacific Partnership had been negotiated. The negotiations began under the Bush administration, so it takes a long time to work through some of these things. So hopefully, the administration can get to work right away and try to start the bilateral agreements with these countries, with other countries. Any new trading partner we can find is something that we're obviously going to pay attention to. The last thing here on trade is making sure we're maintaining the free trade agreements, or the agreements we have in place today. NAFTA is something the president has indicated he'd like to renegotiate. Not something we support, but if that's a direction he wants to go, agriculture needs to have a seat at that table to make sure we're protecting a market share that we have in those two countries, Canada and Mexico. A big player for us when it comes to agricultural trade, not only for the country, but for the state of Nebraska specifically, with well over $2 billion, $2.5 billion worth of ag products that we send to Canada and Mexico every year. Lastly, immigration reform, another key topic that the administration is going to spend a lot of time talking about. The Farm Bureau position isn't focused in on some of those things that grab the headlines, building a wall or citizenship. We have policy on some of those things, but the most important thing for us is to try to make sure that we have a stable, legal workforce for agriculture. You look down the list and you look at all the different needs that farmers and ranchers have for immigrant labor, and it's vast. When you look at the trouble that people have trying to for our farmers and ranchers, we don't grow a lot of fresh produce here, not a lot of products that are picked by hand. But it's still difficult for us to find employees at some of our livestock operations, and smaller farms who maybe just need one employee. Trying to get folks to even show up or do the work that needs to be done. You multiply that by 100, 200 times for larger produce farms in California, that's the immigration problem there. So kind of a list of things that we're looking for, some of the things we're working on, and we're excited for Congress and the President to try to get some of these things accomplished and move forward with them.